Call our meeting to order. Please stand to salute the flag. I'd also ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence. In particular, our former commissioner, Bill Cranker, passed away 7 years as commissioner, almost 30 years, I think, as an employee of the county, and also former supervisor Ron Mead from the town of Florida, who was a supervisor from 94 to 2001. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Chairman Quackenbush.
Present.
Legislator Diamond.
Present.
Legislator Whites.
Present.
Legislator Beniak.
Present.
Legislator DeChessie. Legislator Wheeler. Legislator Isabel. Legislator Kuchis.
Here.
Legislator Kelly.
Present.
Okay. Legislator Whites would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to add resolutions 155 and 166. What is it? 155 and 156. What did I say?
66.
Oh, I'm sorry. Correction video. 155 and 156. Is there a second to suspend the rules? Roy will second. In discussion, just want to remind everybody, we would need all 6 of us present in order to do this without the others here right now, I believe, right? We need 2/3. Is there any question? Does everybody know that 155 and 56?
I would just like to see us limit this as much as possible. We're 6 months in. You know, we know about resolutions like this. I'd like to see them on the agenda beforehand.
I agree. Any further discussion? All those in favor of...
I just want to make a statement that asking us to authorize an agreement without having seen the agreement is a little, makes me a little uncomfortable, but if, yeah, I was wondering if Matt could speak to some of the terms of those agreements.
Sure. The issue at hand here is this relates to contracts and who has the authority to sign contracts. We held, out of respect to the legislature, we held these contracts to wait until NISAC came in to give us their interpretation of some of the rules as it relates to multi-year contracts. We all understand that I have the authority to sign the contracts within our calendar year. What happens if a contract goes beyond the end of the year, and what happens with multi-year contracts? These would have waited until next month. However, one that you'll see is an energy, which we're part of a consortium that on our behalf goes out and negotiates our energy rates. They did that, and they expected this back to us within 5 days. Now, the opinion of the county attorney is I have the authority to sign the contracts. However, there is a disagreement between what was said with NISAC when they came in, and so out of respect to the legislature, we thought, okay, let's put it on the agenda. We could have just gone through signed contracts and this wouldn't have been an issue tonight on the agenda, but I thought at the very least, these are pretty run-of-the-mill type of contracts. We have a consortium that's bidding on our energy. They went with the lowest bidder. That was the price. The second one is related to services we provide for children, and that is something that we're up against the deadline on July 1st. I would have waited another month and gone through the proper process, but I thought that we would have this because we're having an ongoing discussion right now about multi-year contracts. What happens if a contract goes into the next year? And these are things that are going to take time to work through. And NICEAG gave us some good answers, but sometimes those answers come with more questions on our behalf. So that's really where we're at right now. I did not want to just go through, given that we haven't settled it, I thought it would be better, and Ryan and I have had a number of conversations about this, we thought it would be better to have it be something that we're both on board with, rather than me just moving forward unilaterally and doing it and then having a discrepancy between what is the county attorney's opinion and what the NICEAG's recommendations were. So I am 100% confident in the content of both of these contracts. It's more of a procedural thing as we figure out all the details of contracts moving forward related to multi-year agreements, the relation to the calendar year and those types of things. So I would strongly support these resolutions, and really it's to make sure we don't get behind the eight ball and we just keep government moving and do the things that we need to do.
Just to elaborate a little too, the 155, the 3 to 5 preschool program service is really and Doug, tell me if I'm wrong, is really a ditto of what's every year.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not.
Yeah, there's nothing, and I can say this, that we certainly wouldn't sneak up anything controversial on you like this. These are very much run-of-the-mill type of things. And, the real question is, what do we do with the calendar year? What do we do with multi-year agreements and all those things that NICEAG has been discussing? And these are things that are going to take us time to work through. But rather than just do it unilaterally with a different recommendation from NICEAG, I thought, okay, and it really was Ryan and I discussing, why not put it on the agenda because they're timely, and let's bring everyone up to speed, and I'll answer whatever questions I can at the meeting.
Doug and I were just chatting and thought probably appropriately to maybe eliminate any fears. We could amend these resolutions both tonight to say upon the review of the county attorney.
Yeah, they generally would say that.
Upon review of the county attorney, if that would be. So on the motion to amend the agenda, and also let our record reflect that Joe and Barbara are now here present with us. Ryan?
Just one point, since it's been brought up with the multi-year contract. The main legal question with that NICEAG brought up is, if it spans 2 fiscal years for us, 2 budget years, there's nothing binding the county legislature to appropriate for the remainder of any contract into a future fiscal year. And by authorizing the contract to be executed, it binds us as a legislature to appropriate therefore in those future fiscal years, whether it be only 6 months of next fiscal year or 5 years. And that's sort of the legal background that NICEAG's coming in with and recommending.
Okay, so we have a motion that's to amend the agenda. We already have the motion in the second, so the question is if there's no more discussion on amending the agenda to add these 2 resolutions. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Abstain? The agenda is amended to add resolutions 155 and 156. Right now, we have privilege of the floor, and prior to the annual update document that our county executive will give, it's a chance for public comment. I would ask the legislature to permit me, if so, if they don't mind, to be a little lenient with this tonight in regards to our meetings at 5:30. It's normally at 7. If someone comes in at 7, I want to give them the opportunity to speak if they thought that it was, even though it was advertised, so we
If
can.
we're still here.
Or after. But right now, as we sit, anyone from the public wishing to speak, I just ask that you raise your hand, tell us your name, where you're from, and speak. You can do whatever you feel comfortable. Stay seated if you feel comfortable.
No, I have a problem. I stand all day. Okay. First of all, I want to thank the board and legislators for having our group here. My name is Dale Fonsby. I am with the Ayers Animal Shelter on the board of directors. I'm also a member of the Montgomery County Citizens for Humane Animal Treatment. Among our goals is the strict laws regarding dog kennels, strict and unannounced inspections and strict enforcements with strict fines for violations. Our motto is primary from the Pennsylvania dog laws to design to get humane treatments for the kennel dogs or to eliminate the kennels. In Pennsylvania, the puppy mill problem was rampant. The laws drove puppy millers out of the state. We have passed some papers up through here for you to look at, and my friend Jeannie will be addressing you after this, and then I will come back with a second comment. Okay, thank you.
I'm Jean DeVal from Palatine. We're really concerned about the conditions of this puppy mill thing. Pennsylvania laws were very effective, and they are who knows, but they've driven many of them out of state, and we are good candidates. We are getting more and more. And what I have in front of you is an essay apparently written by a breeder, not labeled Miller, we don't know, but I suspect so because the stuff that he doesn't like is stuff that the Pennsylvania law will make them deal with. And I would just like to draw your attention especially to the last paragraph. I can state with absolute certainty that these proposed regulatory changes will put me out of business. And I think it will put many other kennels in the state out of business too. In fact, I don't know of a single kennel anywhere that could meet the new standards. Even the most modern and fancy kennels that I know would not meet the standards in the proposed regulations. They can't make me grade either. If the law itself has been distributed, I asked Mr. Smith to bring that to you. You have one copy, but I hope you'll look at it because you'll see what this man is protesting. All right, and I would also like to point out what a puppy mill is. I don't know if you're familiar with what a puppy mill is. You have a list of what happens at a puppy mill. And that was compiled by Hearts United for Animals. And they have a website. And they call it Prisoners of Greed. And there are a whole bunch of things you can learn about mills there. National disgrace, but with a weak stomach, you're not going to peruse that too much. Okay, Miller's product, they're in it for the money. Their product is sold to brokers. And brokers, there's a broker, the biggest one is Hunt, H-U-N-T-E. And they get the pups from the millers, the puppy millers, and distribute them to online distributors or to pet stores. And I don't believe you have one in this county. One was suggested to me in Amsterdam, and I checked that out today. There's no puppy in it. So I don't know any puppy sellers at a store. Okay, and they also, some of them do a little bit of their own retail, but mostly big distributors. That's their product. And these products are living, breathing creatures who can suffer, love, and who are the only truly symbiotic creatures of another species with whom we live. So they are really very close to us and in our own development. Okay, Pennsylvania laws were enacted to end this inhumane situation and seem to be successful. Where are they going? They're coming here, many of them. And our suggestion is that we don't need to work with new laws. You can simply adapt effective older ones. And Pennsylvania was successful. We've been working on them and kind of accommodating them to us. And we've made them a little stricter, but we haven't got a typist, so we're just a rough copy, pretty much. But you're the ones elected to do the law creating. But we want to help and support if we can. The problem exists now. We need to do something now. The dogs are suffering now. Dale would like to ask a question.
Okay, I had a question about Clinton Road kennels. I've been approached on this. They asked me to look into it, and I said, well, I would approach it to you tonight. They had a permit for 10 dogs 2 years ago. I understand now, I don't know how true it is, but I understand up to 200 dogs. It's on private property, and there's nothing on the laws of the books right now that you can go on private property to check anything. But my concern is being with the shelter. Are these dogs are they in air conditioned? Are they being treated humanely? This is what I'm concerned about. The legislators need to get a law on the books where you can go in if there's a call you need to go in and check and see if these animals are being dealt with humanely. I mean, if there's air conditioning, if they are, fine, but if they aren't, we need a law in this state. Now, Como just signed something that we can take, you can take over, the villages can take over, and the county can take over, and we need to do this. Because we are getting animals in the shelter that are being let loose from puppy mills, and we're getting overwhelmed with them, and we cannot have this. So that's why I'm asking the legislators, the state, to come up with a law that we can get this so that we have rules and regulations for these kennels or puppy mills or whatever you want to call them. I just like to call them kennels. I don't like to call them puppy mills. So we needed some kind of a law where we can go in, and if it's cold, USA or Martinique, I don't care what it is, we need some kind of a law in this county to override this and then, step in and protect our animals. So that's what I'm saying. So I want to thank the board and legislature for hearing me tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Typically, when the public comments to us, we don't respond back because it's your time. However, I do know that this county has taken some proactive steps recently, and I know legislator Kelly had his hand up and wanted to say something. As I said, normally we don't do that, and I also like to give the county executive a minute because we have taken some proactive steps, and if you would like to address, go ahead.
I know in the village of Canajoharie, in the town, that they are working on a zoning issue to put a temporary stop to it until we can get a law that is functional and will work best for our county.
Yeah, we have a moratorium. Yes, we do.
Yes.
And according to Ag and Markets law, from what I was understanding from somebody I know at Ag and Markets who works with inspections, if you're not granted public access to the property, a judge can give a warrant. I wouldn't like to see us encroach on people's private rights, but I do agree there are cases out there that need to be stopped. And at the same time, I don't think we can go guns blazing and shut down every single person with a dog.
Oh, no.
And I would like to, get your contact information and we can meet. And we do have a representative from the air shelter.
Yes, I know as a president, yes, I am on the board, so I know it's, so I'm corresponding with her. She would have been here tonight to be with us, but she's doing hay, so she couldn't do that, so I'll report. But yes, I'm very close with that too, so.
Yes.
But yes, I know there's certain laws, but I'm saying we gotta get strict laws in here because they're coming in and some of them are dead and I don't know where they are, but yeah.
We already have the laws on the books with the moratorium.
Just
There
gotta
shouldn't
be
be
strict.
new puppy mills coming in with a moratorium.
What happens though, the ones that are already established though? Like I said, this one on Clinton Road there, if they're keep adding more dogs, how do we stop
They're in
that?
violation with the state law.
But if you don't go in there, if you can't get in there to
The
see,
judge can give a warrant.
well, how do you get in there? I know you said get a judge, but
You need somebody with first-hand experience, so somebody who went to purchase a dog. And then you need to communicate with the Montgomery County SPCA, and they'll point you in the direction to figure out a way to get a judge to certify a warrant.
We're really in the process here, and I'll let Matt speak on it, but with the committee that was put forth, we're really, and with these moratoriums that you're seeing happen locally, like in Minden, we have a moratorium in Canajoharie, which has kind of put the brakes on it. Right? What we're doing now is we need this type of input at those committee meetings so that when legislation needs to be put forth, we'll be able to have the tools we need to do it. But Matt, if you would, our county executive.
No, that was the first executive order that we did, was creating the Animal Protective Commission. Legislator Martin Kelly expressed the interest to chair that committee. He's been working on that. They're taking their time to really work it through, and hopefully, at some point this year, they're going to come to the legislature with some recommendations. But I would encourage you, if there are specific examples, to contact our office, and we can then get that information to the sheriff and provide all that documentation. And I will give the sheriff more than a polite poke of encouragement to make sure he follows up with it. But I think the moratoriums are a good short-term solution. They're looking at the commission as more of a long-term solution, since now the governor has given us the ability to create local law. And then, you know, if anything's really immediate, you know, I would say, you know, get me whatever documentation you can, whatever contacts you can, and then we will, you know, address that with the sheriff.
Okay, I think we've addressed. If there's nothing further, thank you very much for coming and sharing the information with us. We appreciate it. I would again advise to make sure we stay in touch with this committee.
Oh, I will.
Okay. All right, anyone else from the public wishing to speak? If not, we'll close public comment for now, knowing that some may show up late thinking our meeting is late, and we'll reconvene that if we need to. Right now, we have a presentation of our annual update document. Our county executive is going to give us that. Matt, do you need that podium, or you don't need that?
No,
You're good.
no.
Okay.
We're all set?
All set.
Okay,
The
great.
floor is yours.
Sure. Well, a few weeks back, you all received the AUD. Really, I was looking for three things in this. This is probably going to be shorter than we think, but some of the other stuff as far as the trends financially, we're going to include in the budget presentation. But really the three things that I was looking at, and Sean can, you know, we'll start off with my overview and the things that I thought were important, and then Sean will give you a little bit of information on his views, and then we'll open it up to any questions. But really the three things I was concerned about: number one, how are we looking relative to the fund balance? Second is, what's our debt look like, and our ability, especially with the new capital plan coming down the pipe. And lastly, are our department heads living within their means? So the first question is as related to our debt, our fund balance. Our fund balance is growing, which is a good thing. We're estimated over about $8 million fund balance, up from about 7, I believe. So that's certainly good news. The second, our debt, we're at about between 23, 24 million. We're paying off over $3 million a year on that debt, which I believe is about, I think 18% of our total debt ratio, which is a good thing. So we do have some ability to invest moving forward in some of these critical projects that we need. And lastly, are our department heads living within their means? Was there anything that stuck out here that was a big red flag? And the answer to that is no. So really, for me, what I saw in this AUD was that there wasn't anything that really jumped out as a major problem. We really are where we thought we are. We're in pretty good shape. Obviously, the challenge for the legislature and Sean and I will be to, over the period of the number of years, to bring it back into balance, reoccurring revenues and reoccurring expenses. Over the years, we've been paying reoccurring expenses with fund balance. It's what we got chastised for by the state comptroller. So that's really going to be the focus on how we can put together a long-term financial plan that will start to bring this back into balance. And for me, the answer is really, you know, everything we can do on the revenue side and economic development and all that stuff, because we're really we're pretty slim and trim on the administrative side of things, and you know, there's not a whole lot of fat to cut there. It's been cut, so you know, that's why I'm really focused on how we can get more out of our employees and how we can increase services without you know, having to go and just, because it's not an option to just go back and add 20, 30 employees. So that's my big takeaway from it. I know Sean has some more as far as, you know, his take and what he sees in this, but for me, just to recap, those are the three big things. Our fund balance is growing. Where we are with debt is we're in a pretty good place, and our department heads are living within their means and did not overstep their bounds last year. So that's my take. Sean will give you his take, and then you know, we're here to happily answer any questions you may have.
Just to clarify, when we're talking fund balance, like I said, I like to talk in terms of unappropriated fund balance. That is a fund balance that's able to be appropriated for unexpected items and stuff like that. if you were to look at the AUD, you'll see a total fund equity of about 14.3 million. But that includes all of your reserve monies, including the appropriated fund balance. So it does appear that the county's overall fund balance is 14.2 million. Yes, it is that, but only 8.7 at the end of 2013 is actually unappropriated. The balance of that is appropriated for some other purpose. And going forward, if any of the legislators have any questions, I do have a multitude of reports ranging from anything that I could sit down and would be more than willing to go through the annual report with anybody with any clarification. So I'm available for any questions. I'm sure Matt would take any questions. And like I said, it's a case where the county is improving. Are we in the best shape we could be in? No, but like I said, we are in better shape than we have been going back a few years.
Question, John? If I may.
Well, Terry and Barbara were ahead of you. Go ahead. Go ahead, that's all right. Go ahead.
I'm busy.
Just kidding you, I'm just kidding.
Page 101.
Yeah.
I just noticed under footnote 12,
Yep.
it looks like there's some information that's in there. Recurring here. Claims liabilities. I'm just going to kick back if we've already
Like I
submitted.
said, it won't get kicked back from the state, but it will be corrected and audited. Okay.
All right, Terry?
Yes, it was said that roughly 18%, we have 18% debt with the overall budget.
What he referred to as 18%, and I believe I sent a memo out at the beginning of the year. The county has exhausted 18% of their debt limit.
Okay.
What it means is, in essence, the county can incur debt. It's a percentage of your overall assessed. It's a percentage of your overall assessed value, and we're only sitting at 18%. So in essence, we could potentially borrow.
That's my question. How far?
78%?
Potentially do 78% more, but like I said,
Wow.
it's definitely not feasible.
Okay. Okay.
And just to give you a little history, and I know that, like I said, at the end of this year, barring any borrowings this year, like Matt said, we will be at about $24 million in debt. If you went going back, in 2009, the county was $44.9 million.
Was 44?
44.9. So over the last 5 years, the county has taken some positive steps in reducing the actual debt that the county's been on.
And I think we're paying off almost $4 million a year at this point, is the rate of.
Does the state controller's office have a recommended number that you
Like I said,
say?
as far as debt goes, there's
Correct.
no recommended, if you were to go, like I said, looking around counties, most counties are around the 15% debt limit.
Okay.
So like I said, we may be a little bit higher than a lot of counties, but I know the last survey that went around, which was I believe last year before, most counties that responded were right around the 15% in debt. Of course, you are going to find some counties, and especially the neighbors to our north and south, for example, Fulton and Schoharie have no debt.
Really? Wow.
So that's an ideal situation to be in.
Barb?
How's our sales tax?
Sales tax, like I said, the first quarter of this year is slightly down compared to last year. It was down by like 1.5%. That's just the first quarter.
All right.
Right now, the second quarter through the payments we received is up slightly. So, like I said, I would say it's comparable to the same time last year. So.
Excellent.
Sean, I believe after we had that dip, it rose up pretty good for the last 2 or 3 years, am I right? So to try to continue to match that would be difficult anyway, probably.
Yes, correct.
So I don't think it's a bad sign, it's
Right.
just, we really took a nice swing up there for, okay. Actually, Terry asked a question that I wanted to know. I know the controller's office always says 10 to 15% is a healthy fund balance, right?
Right.
But they don't give a recommendation on
Like I
debt.
said, and the state will not recommend a percentage of your budget.
Recommend you're not in
They
debt.
will not. Like I said, and like I said, you could ask probably everybody in this room has a different opinion of what the fund balance should be. Some people believe it should be 5% of budget, some people think it should be as high as 20%. It all depends on who you ask. My personal opinion is I believe the county should try to maintain a 10 to 15% of budget fund balance.
Okay, Roy.
Chair. Sean, on the fund balance itself, currently, would that reflect the money Commissioner McMahon found, got us reimbursement for, and also the health trust?
It would include any of the monies recouped in 2013 through social services. If there's been some more funds that have been recouped that were to be recognized in 2014, they wouldn't be reflected in these numbers.
Okay.
The numbers we're giving you tonight are for year-end
Okay.
2013. So your question is the health insurance trust situation is not totally settled yet, so
Okay.
it's not approved.
So we can look forward to some additional money. Okay, potentially.
All right.
I know it's very hard to do, and please, if you don't have a number, don't feel obligated. This is a year-end 2013 fund balance. Is there any estimate of what the fund balance stands at currently?
No. There's really not it's way too early in the game to really even give you a good guesstimate.
Okay, thank you.
But Sean, considering the first 6 months, you could, even though we know what we've used of fund balance. So, I mean, one could say, well, we use this much, just subtract it off the number.
Well, it's really hard to say because there are some big revenues and some big expenses that are not realized until the end of the year.
Right.
So to really come up with a real accurate
Kind
number
of tough.
is not really feasible. Like I said, when I sit down with the county exec to do the budget, we are going to sit down and have to try to figure out a good guesstimate of where we can go with it.
Okay, if there's no other questions for Sean or Matt, or does anyone have anything for Matt? All right, thank you very much. One thing that we talked about in the charter, there's this, help me out, Ryan. You're supposed to give this state of the state by a certain date. Didn't we talk about pushing that back now to be a more realistic date of when this audit is done?
Yeah, I think that's.
I believe the charter reflects March 15th, I believe.
Yeah, don't we want to try to push that back as a recommendation to the...
Yeah, that's what we talked about, especially with Ryan as chair of education and government, that that'd be one of our charter changes. That way we can do state of the county, do our AUD, do it all at once in one presentation.
The state of the county is great in March to have, but you can't get a real good financial picture out to the public without...
Just one quick question for Sean. On this debt, you quote interest rates. It looks like you've managed to actually more than halve the interest rates on the older debt by refinancing.
Yeah, so we've had some really favorable refinancing.
Right. These are all variable rates? Or any of these fixed?
They are all variable rates. Like I said, the rates that you're seeing on the thing is an average of the rates over the term of the portfolio.
Okay. Martin?
On page 74, there are some things that it asks, local government questionnaire. Is it your plan or the executive's plan to do the risk assessment plan?
that's something that between the legislator, myself, and the county exec, we can discuss going forward.
Yeah, I think, as we start to work through our budget process, and for those, just to make everyone aware, Mark and I have had lengthy discussions about the budget process and really trying to work through this as a team. And, these are obviously all a great deal of what we will be discussing in those meetings. So, have we gotten there yet? No, we haven't really officially started the budget process, but I view this very much so as the type of questions, the type of answers. And as far as, when I talk about our long-term financial plan, these are the types of things that we need to address. And I'm looking forward to having that, collaborative working relationship with the legislature.
Okay, nothing further? We'll move on. Next item, thanks, Matt, Sean. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. We do have minutes from the, how many?
I sent you guys an email for
Two?
last month.
And this?
The email came late this afternoon, so I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but it has the attachments.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented. Look for a second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Approval of the budgetary transfers. Look for a motion. Barbara, second? Joe? Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Carries. Moving on to unfinished business, we have none that I know of. So we'll move on to new business, which are our resolutions. Don't forget, we have 155 and 156 at the end. First resolution is Resolution 131. It's a resolution authorizing the sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure. Sponsors the second, Wheeler Isabel. Discussion on 131. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution authorizing the 132, resolution authorizing the sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure, Town of Mohawk. Wheeler Isabel were the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. Resolution 133, resolution amending the 2014 operating budget carryover grant funds. Wheeler Kuchis, sponsors. Discussion on 133. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 134 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, 2013-14 statewide interoperable communications grant. Wheeler Quackenbush were the sponsors. Discussion on 134. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 135 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget with forfeiture monies. District Attorney, Wheeler Kuchis sponsors. Is there any discussion on 135? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. 136 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, New York Connects Grant, Department of Social Services. Diamond Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion on 136. No discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. 137, resolution establishing public hearing for the FMCC 2014-2015 operating budget. Sponsors were Kelly and Wheeler. Discussion, we have all the dates, times? Yeah. It's scheduled for July 22nd at 6:55 p.m. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of 137?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 138, resolution supporting application, New York Main Street Technical Assistance Grant for the West Hill School, Office of the Legislature. Whites, Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion on 138. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 139, resolution supporting application, New York Main Street Technical Assistance Grant, Unity Hall, Office of the Legislature, Kelly and Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion on 139. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. 140, resolution confirming the appointment of Weights and Measures Director made by the county executive. Actually, Wheeler, Whites, but full board. I think the way I'm reading this, full board were the sponsors, so is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, Ray, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Best of luck.
It's always good to have District 3 people.
He's learning quick. As soon as it's done, get the heck out. Resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, Civil Service Office Personnel, Coaches Beaniac were the sponsors. Discussion on 141. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. 142 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, workers' compensation, Beaniac Whites. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 143. Cheryl, you all good? Resolution amending the 2014 budget and establishing position of Director of Labor Management Relations. Quackenbush Diamond were the sponsors. Discussion on 143.
I'd like to say something. I was able to go to a Family and Medical Leave Act training thing at the county this week, and I'm so excited about this labor management relations. Having an HR person for a $100 million organization, I think is going to really give a substance and a structure and to the county that I'm very happy to support. Thank you.
Alex?
I just wanted to ask Matt a question. This resolution is requesting basically transferring 29,000 and change. That's for the remainder of the year, is that correct? Does that mean the actual salary is going to be close to $60,000 a year?
50,000 is the annual salary.
50?
All right.
I just wanted to say I had the opportunity to speak with the county executive about this. Our charter tasks the county executive as being the head of state and head of government. And I think after having the discussion with the executive, I think this is a great position that's going to really help with the government side of it and running and helping to create a more efficient form of government here in Montgomery County.
I look forward to seeing the cost savings.
Yes.
I'll second that.
I'll put in 2 cents. I'll put my 2 cents in. Being a guy that works every day in the labor field and understanding it, I don't know of too many municipalities, I mean, especially counties, I should say, or larger cities that do not have a labor relations HR department or something. So I support it. I think we came a long way, Matt, in our first discussion in your office about what your vision was and what needed to happen and what you needed and where I was in my thinking, and I think together we're able to put something out there that's really good for everybody. And, I appreciate that.
I'd just like to say I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate the legislators taking the time to listen to my perspective and what I'm dealing with. And I'm very grateful, and I think that this is going to, and I know that this is going to make for a better return to taxpayers, and I am equally as excited about showing those returns to you. And I just really appreciate you guys putting your faith in me and what we're trying to do here, and I'm very grateful. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate that taking the time, because that's how we make this work. We give each other the time and listen to each other, and that's fantastic, so thank you.
Wait till we vote. All those in favor? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Abstain? You're welcome. Okay, 144, resolution amending 2014 operating budget flood disasters. Kuchus White's worthy sponsors. Discussion on 144. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 145 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, 2014-15 lead grant COLA award, public health, Beniac Kuchus for the sponsors. Discussion on 145. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, Martin's still laughing about that.
Lead.
140. What is it? What did I say, lead?
No.
Resolution stating support for the location, approval, and operation of a casino adjacent to exit 27 on the New York State Thruway. Economic Development, Planning, and Tourism. Diamond Whites were the sponsors. Discussion on 146.
Full board?
No.
It says move the full board.
Wow.
Discussion. I think that we're, and I don't want to, I'm going to echo what, I think that almost the same words as what Matt has said. We are a perfect fit. If New York State truly is looking to do what they say they do and help the distressed area with this move, we are the perfect fit. And I think Matt, our county executive, has eloquently said that over and over and over publicly. And if there is truly a fit out of all out there, I think it is us. Now, what happens, happens, but we'll see. But I certainly support it, and I don't know who was, I thought I saw Barbara and then Alex.
And I totally agree. I think that it is transformational in Montgomery County. I think that even the layout of the buildings it's cohesive with the area. It blends in every single way. When you look at the children that are raised in poverty, this is in every single way what it was voted for by the voters when it was put for the referendum. So I got goosebumps when I go to listen and cheer on this, and when not one negative vote was passed in the town of Florida, it was exciting. I believe that it is transformational, and I would love nothing more than to have it come to Montgomery County. It's right off the thruway. So.
And I think, Matt, we have you to thank, and I think we also have Steve Marshall to thank when they support that. Based on what I've read, with them reconsidering not getting reduced fees in the 60-day extension.
Yeah, I mean, I can give a quick.
Go ahead.
So I think what, as I beat to death in the public as far as the need in the community, the 31% of children living in poverty, 28.9% underneath, below the median income in upstate New York. I mean, we're clearly a depressed community that could use the boost. It's clearly, in my opinion, the best site out there. But, relative, we haven't had a chance to talk as a team here. When you're talking about well over 20% of our total property taxes that we collect on one 500-acre site in the town of Florida, that's significant. That doesn't include sales tax, property tax, bed tax, and all these other things. So, and I just like to say, that we really have put together one top-notch team. When you look at the balance sheets of the companies we're dealing with, when you look at their reputation and their record in previous communities, it's nothing short of astonishing, the fact how successful they've been. So I feel good with our county, that is our home, to entrust such a big project to them. And the final piece that I'd just like to say is, and this is really what put us over the top, the fact that we went to 2 public forums and had not one person stand up and say, I do not support this, was nothing short of a miracle. I asked the developers, have you ever seen this, and any time you've ever done this? And they said, no, I can't believe what we just saw in the last 2 days. And that, I believe, is what compelled them to keep moving forward in this process, because they have seen what it means to the people of this area. Now, it's not the end-all, save-all, but it sure be a big catalyst for us moving forward, and that's why we've been working so hard to keep this process moving. Now, to be a realist, let's just be clear, the goal here over the last couple of weeks is to make sure they submit an application. If we didn't submit an application, we never would have been in the game. The game begins on the 30th. The competition begins on the 30th. So it's going to be a long haul from there, but we got to where we have a chance, and we're always going to be the underdog because we're little old Montgomery County. But I think if we advocate and we get out there and explain what this would mean to our community, we have a fighting chance of getting this thing. So I appreciate, we couldn't have done it without your support, and we'll certainly be in touch as things move forward on how we can get out there and be vocal and express the needs. I mean, I don't think when the intent of the legislation was for a depressed community, they meant a suburban area in East Greenbush right next to a Girl Scout camp. In an area that has over $80,000 median income. So hopefully, that message will come through and the state will follow up on the intent of the legislation. We're going to do everything we can to assist. So appreciate your support. Thanks again.
Martin.
I think it's a wonderful proposal. I think we have executed a short-term plan. They've told us what they're going to do within 3 years, but I'd like to look down the road and see what we're going to be doing in 5 to 10 years. When studies show that crime rate increases, poverty increases, and these establishments prey on those who we are trying to help. There are 55 casinos in the Northeast as of November of 2013. We are flooding the market. Soon that money is going to dry up. And I have some questions that I'd like to be answered.
I'd love to answer some of those questions.
And once we vote, and I'm sure it will be approved by the board, I will go with what the board says while I'm in public, but I would like my voice to be heard, and that's why I'm voting no.
You want me to?
I'd just like to make the statement that kind of morally I'm opposed to casinos because they prey on people with gambling addictions. But what I did is I analyzed all the districts, how they voted, and every single district voted in favor of this legislation. Therefore, I have absolutely no choice as an elected official to vote in favor of it. We voted the majority. That's all.
Okay. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstaining? Resolution number 147, resolution amending the 2014 operating budget insurance deductible. Kuchis Beniak for the sponsors. Discussion on 147. Hearing none, Martin.
I would just, they made reference to a resolution in 2013, and I'm just wondering why it went from salary and benefits to now being professional services. Why are we...
147.
Your resolution.
Oh,
That's,
sorry. All right.
Oh, I remember this.
147.
147.
Around 147.
Okay.
All those in favor of 147? Is there any more discussion on 147?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
That passes. Resolution 148, resolution amending the 2014 budget for New York State Indigent Legal Services Grant Public Defender Diamond Beniak sponsors. On 148, discussion. Martin or Ryan?
What I just said.
Go ahead, because I was lost when you were saying it.
So, they made reference to a resolution 230 in 2013, and I looked up that resolution, and it quotes salary and benefits, as though I'm assuming that it was pulled from the actual grant document that we applied for this. And now we're changing it to professional services. I'm just wondering, why are we going against what we applied for in the grant?
Oh, only because I was there. 230 actually not only said salary and benefits, but it said hire an investigator /
Legal assistance.
legal assistant. And I know when I voted, I was voting to hire a person. That's where I was going with it, and that's why I was going to say I wouldn't support it unless it was moved in. I would possibly support it if it was moved into from a .4 to a .1, or is it opposite?
To
Point-
4.44,
.44 or .11 to a 4,
right. Yep.
my take, but Ryan?
I was just gonna ask if it is contractual, since it's a 3-year distribution, will the final execution of the document come before the legislature if this moves forward?
Correct. Yeah, multi-year. One thing that was very clear from NICEAC was that multi-year appropriations were built for. So if the board chose to not, that was not appropriate, or they did not feel that that was the way they wanted to go, you could either or you could, at that point, you're going to have an opportunity to express your feelings on this particular contract.
And just to follow to Martin's, do we know why it's being changed from its original intent as a position, as a .1?
That was a request from the department.
Okay.
But again, if we go back to discussions that we had when this resolution was passed in November 2013, it was to hire an investigator / legal assistant, similar to social services, where we've hired several investigators in social services to take on the task and the needs of what we had, even at part-time. So when they say salary and benefits, I don't think that should be misconstrued as meaning hospitalization for a part-timer. I think they were talking more about FICA and, but for that reason, I can't support it as it sits. Terry?
Well, I guess I didn't realize it was changed, so I guess my question is, maybe to Doug, is it legal to change it now? You know, if this refers to the resolution from 2013.
You're within the authority to make that change as long as the contract that you end up entering into complies with the terms of the grant that's funding it. We don't have the contract, of course, in front of us.
Because I did read something that it had to be bilingual too, I believe, the person.
There is a provision in there with respect to that as well, yes.
So
I saw Ryan.
I just pulled up 230, and there's the third whereas clause, says whereas the funds can only be used for the salary of a public defender, investigator, legal assistant. If that's how the grant's worded, can we even use that funds for can we use those funds for anything else? I know there's not a lot of leeway in some grants.
Off the top of my head, I don't know if that's how the grant is worded. I agree with you, that's how the resolution is worded.
That's how the board was feeling at the time. They wanted, because we brought up the bilingual thing. It was for a person, not a contract. But again, that's I was there, so I can only say what I know. Barbara?
I was there as well, and I do remember this distinctly, and I think some of these issues may be addressed next month if we're approving the contract. That's more like the minutia, if you will, of it. I think they're absolute valid and great points that need to be addressed. I thought when we were having this breakdown, and Sean might be able to correct, having the FICA is part of the salary. So even though it was like $37,000 and change that we approved in the grant money for the position, there can be money for FICA and the other salary type allotment because it's still for that person.
But it's
I
not,
would say, I would go along with the same, as what Doug was saying. It would all hinge on the terms of the agreement or the grant the acceptance of the grant, if it covers fringe benefits or not.
But this is just a transfer, and then the details of all of it would be upcoming. Right.
I would expect that would be the case, yeah. There's not a proposed contract, to my knowledge, in front of any of us at the moment.
And my understanding was that the interpretation from the department head was that it could be used either way, a contractual relationship or an employee. You know, but that's, again, I'd be happy to forward that information if you like.
So are we, sorry, with the way it was written originally to what it is now, and we haven't seen or read the original grant proposal, can we move forward passing this with possibly not following what we applied for in the grant, not following the language in the grant?
Well, let me answer that in this way. This resolution simply changes the county's budget. You can change the county's budget. It doesn't necessarily conclude that ultimately what you're doing would be in compliance with the grant or not. But at this point, you're not awarding a contract to anyone. So you're not doing anything improper by this stage of it. But this is not the final step.
So we're getting the cart before the horse. We're moving the
Well,
cart
not
before-
necessarily, because if in fact what Matt just said, a contractual relationship does satisfy the requirements of the grant, you would need to make this change before that kind of relationship that kind of contract could be entered into. If you're contemplating doing that. This contemplates proceeding with a contractual relationship rather than an employer-employee relationship. It contemplates it, but it doesn't finalize it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
If the money stays where it's at, and the line item's where it's at right now, and isn't moved, the public defender could hire someone as an investigator, like, forget about what the grant says, how about what the intent of the resolution was, and that was to hire an investigator / whatever it was.
Legal assistant.
Legal assistant. That's why the money was put there. So you wouldn't have to move anything, and he could hire a investigator / legal.
An individual, yes.
An
As
individual.
employee, that's correct.
You wouldn't have to move any money because it's already there. So it's kind of like the cart before the horse. Because if you now move it and find out that you can't for some reason, I would be opposed to it just because I know it wasn't the intent of the resolution. The intent of the resolution was to hire a person. But anyway.
Chair, well, if we did transfer, then we would save actually on benefits, right? Like the FICA, retirement. So we would get actually more through professional services than we would hire by hiring an individual. Just
No, the person receiving the money would get a larger check. instead.
well, then we'd be able to provide more service.
Well, 37,000. 37,000.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at reduced liability by having a contractual relationship rather than an employer-employee relationship.
Okay.
With it being multi-year and knowing that it's going to come back up, I would really, since we don't have the opportunity to answer some questions now, but we are going to be faced with the same question again, I would like to see some clarification from the public defender that this is able to be transferred before. I'm assuming that it can, because he's put the resolution forth, but without that, I'd just like to see that clarification before any contract is entered into, to make sure that we can use the funds for a contract and not a service.
Just in response to that, I think Sean and Doug would probably be the two best people to tell us if we can do this.
Got to see the contract.
From a
I mean,
legal
you'd have to see the
standpoint,
grant.
from a accounting standpoint.
You'd have to see the grant. I mean,
Yeah, that's.
I honestly can't tell you what the grant said. I don't remember. I just remember what was happening in our meeting. But all right.
In my discussions with the public defender, he said that they could move forward with the contractual, but I can certainly provide that backup.
Make a motion to table this to our next meeting.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call on, that ceases debate. Roll call on tabling.
Legislator Isabel.
Yes.
Legislator Kuchis.
No.
Legislator Kelly.
Yes.
Legislator Quackenbush.
No.
Legislator Diamond.
No.
Legislator Whites.
No.
Legislator Beniak.
Yes.
I'm missing somebody.
That's me, Sunshine.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm missing someone.
That's gonna be a no.
There.
Okay, back to the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Legislator Diamond.
Yes.
Legislator Whites.
Yes.
Legislator Beniak.
Pass.
Legislator Wheeler.
Yes.
Legislator Isabel.
Pass.
Legislator Kuchis.
Yes.
Legislator Kelly.
No.
Chairman Quackenbush.
No.
All right, move on back.
Benia?
Legislator Beniak.
No.
Legislator Isabel.
No.
Sal.
Next resolution is Resolution 149, resolution approving abstract of audited claims. Kuchis Diamond were the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Carries. Resolution 150, resolution appointing member to Audit Committee, Office of the Legislature. Kelly Whites were the sponsors. Where are you, Duke? Duke? Where are you, Duke? All those in favor, any discussion? Nobody wants to discuss. Okay.
Who said he would do audits?
All in favor of Duke for the months of August, September, October? Duke's not here. All those in favor?
What do we want to do?
Yeah, he accepted it for 1 month. We didn't amend it really. We had to.
Accepted it at the committee meeting.
He accepted it.
It's hard for him, so.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. Resolution 151, resolution authorizing the sale of tax foreclosed parcels of real property located in the town of Glen and rejecting auction bid. Office of the Legislature, Quackenbush, Kuchis were the sponsors. Discussion. This is the resolution that we had, and you're satisfied with all the language that was drafted by
He wrote it.
Well, I wrote
by you?
He doesn't like it.
If there's anything that anyone feels they want to add to it, but that's...
Brian.
I have a couple things, and none of which should be taken as a reflection upon the grantee. They're an upstanding member of the community, both individually and as a company. But on the process that this situation has taken since it was brought to the legislature by myself, but the process since the mistake was made by the auctioneer going through us, I have quite a few issues with. First and foremost, many legislators have indicated that they are voting on this due to a sympathy factor. And I pose the question to you all, how is sympathy any different than favoritism, and cronyism, and nepotism? It is no different. You're favoring some party over another because you feel bad for them. We were elected to fairly represent not an individual, not a specific group, but every single taxpayer and resident of this county. This is not fair to the residents and the taxpayers of this county. We offered this property exclusively to one group. We did not go out for an RFP or an online auction that would be fair. It sort of reminds me a little bit about, a state gaming commission, having an RFP process that gives an unfair advantage to wealthier communities. It's an unfair process to the taxpayer. And lastly, I also think that it's very unfair to the taxpayer that we've been offered $260,000, $75,000 more than we are disposing of this property for by the owner and operator of the ski resort at Killington. And we are throwing out $75,000 that could lessen the burden on Montgomery County. And I think passing this through is extremely unfair to the taxpayer, unethical, among probably other things.
Barbara.
I first was going to abstain from the vote, but I've talked at length over this. I've gone back and forth. It's the right of this body to approve or not approve anything for the betterment of Montgomery County, which is why I absolutely support legislator White's on this. I am going to vote no. And I do support this community, but I did agree with the RFPs. I believe that we need to get as much money as possible. I believe this property being one unit, we were elected to serve Montgomery County, first and foremost. That being said, I believe we do represent our districts, but when you're here, you have an overwhelming desire to just do it better. And when we hired the HR, the labor management, whose salary isn't even the total cost of the $75,000 that is in question right now, I think for the proper way to go about the first year of this new government, to go out for RFP, is the way that I am by far the most comfortable and put my full strength behind, which is why I will vote no.
I think everybody has a right to their opinions.
Absolutely.
Especially Ryan, who's really researched and done his homework. The only word I didn't like in the whole thing that Ryan said was unethical. Only because I am supporting this. I don't think that my support of this is unethical. Every other opinion that Ryan or Barbara had, I have no problem with. But I'm not voting for a person who I don't know for favoritism. I wouldn't know this person other than the first day that he walked in here. I do not know him or his company, or have nothing to do with him. What I do know is he did come in and successfully bid on one of those parcels, being number 43, I think. The one for 135. He did that fairly squarely. The guy from Killington didn't come before the auctioneer that day at all. So I have no sympathy for him. I don't have sympathy for Buono or favoritism. I just think he voted. It only come to light afterwards from Ryan, and it makes perfectly good sense that these three pieces should be combined into one for reasons we don't have to roll over that we've already talked. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But this fellow wanted the property. He came in, he bid on it fairly, he bid on it, and he got it. Only to be told afterwards he couldn't have it because we decided we wanted to change it and put it into 3. And only after the news got out did the people from Amsterdam and somebody else from Killington or something, I don't even know who they all were. All I can say to the people in this county is I pledge that my vote tonight will not be an unethical one. My vote tonight is going to be strictly based on the merits of what happened and what I feel is the right thing to do towards the person that voted. We did go back to him and say, you're not going to get a gift of public funds when we combine the other two together. We're going to make, if you want it, you got to ante up. He did that. He did it to what was the amount that we collectively agreed to one night in here, those who were present. And I felt that we had our county attorney go out and try to do the right thing by us, which he agreed to do, and he did. And at the end of the day, it come back at not more, not less, at $185,000. And I'm comfortable with that. And I don't think that my decision to vote yes tonight is unethical, even if I'm the only one to vote yes. I saw Roy first.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I would like to comment on is that our role as a government is to get foreclosed properties back on the tax roll. And in my opinion, it's to get on with a responsible person. The only offer that we've ever, the property sat vacant for a minimum of 3 years, I think, maybe longer. No one at any time has went to the bank or whatever to try to purchase the property. The only realistic bid we've ever had, the only person that put cash down was UNO Holding. And that's why I'm voting yes, so that they get the property. That's the only valid offer that we've gotten ever.
I saw Barbara and then Ryan.
I absolutely know that you would not be doing this unethical. I think that this is I support the local community. I think that going to RFP and making this one property is a transparent way. I think the main reason I'm doing it, and maybe it's from a board of supervisor to a board of legislator, is I want to welcome with open arms everybody doing business in Montgomery County, everyone, and showing that everyone's welcome. And that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a local person. And if it was just the 3 properties, it would already be to the person who won it at the auction. Absolutely, unequivocally, I would have already passed that. So, but I thank you for your comments.
Ryan.
Just a question, well, comment that if Doug would like to comment on as well. We established at the special meeting that gifting land to a private organization, a private party, is at no fee, is an unconstitutional gift of land. We also established at that meeting that the value, market value of a property is that somebody is willing to pay. By having an offer so far off, I just question if that could be looked upon as a gift of land.
I'm not gonna. I can't give an answer.
I will. And I certainly have no affiliation with anybody involved here other than the county legislature, obviously. But I would say that in discussion, the members of the legislature did arrive informally, stress that, at the figure of $185,000 based upon some rational basis for concluding it. That being that the parcel 43 was put up for auction and the high bid was received of 135, and that's all we cited in here. And that the other 2 smaller parcels, the figure that is being used to attach to that, even though we're looking at a total of 185, the figure that was used to attach to that was based upon a perhaps not perfect, but a rough calculation of the sizes of the other 2 parcels based upon the square footage that the 135,000 bore to the parcel 43 that it was attached to. It would appear that there is it's not a number pulled out of the air. It's based upon an open fair market auction that did occur with regard to the one parcel, and then the two contiguous parcels, but obviously it's the same location, using prorating the price based upon the sizes of those parcels as compared with the one that was sold at auction. Does that address your?
Alex?
Okay, I've been rolling this around in my head quite a bit, and I know that I had come up with that number, and I had made the statement that fair market value is the price of buyers willing to pay for it. I'd also like everyone to recall that we received some erroneous information about the person who sent the letter in after the auction was over. I think my concern here, not only did our county treasurer oppose us basically offering it to Guano, but I also have a huge issue with basically, on the face of it, making it look like we're handing Guano $75,000 profit. If he buys it for $185 and turns around and sells it to the other individual for the $75,000 greater. So I'm going to be voting on it.
Anyone else? No further discussion, roll call?
Chairman Quackenbush.
Yes.
Legislator Diamond.
Yes.
Legislator Whites.
I will be abstaining my vote because I don't want to have any say in what I think is a very unfair resolution.
Legislator Beniak.
Yes.
Legislator Wheeler.
No.
Legislator Isabel.
Yes.
Legislator Kuchis.
No.
Legislator Kelly. Yeah.
Resolution number 152, resolution adopting introductory local law D of 2014, a local law providing for clarification and elaboration on Article 8 of the Charter of Montgomery County relating to the Department of Law. Sponsors, Whites and Beniak.
Chair, how does that fail? We have 4 to 3.
4 to 4.
Oh,
Duke's a no.
an absence, a no?
When you're not here, you're
I
not.
thought it was only a no and a
An
tie.
abstention is a no.
You need
Abstention
5
is a-
affirmative votes.
Yeah.
You need 5 affirmative votes, a majority of the entire
Oh, I
body.
get it, okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's all right. On 152, I believe this is a resolution Matt provided us with a little, do I have that? Pursuant, this is from the executive pursuant to Article 3, Section 20, New York State law. I, County Executive Matthew L. Ossenfort, hereby certify to the necessity of the county legislature's immediate passing of local law for clarification and elaboration of Article 8 of the Montgomery County Charter regarding the Department of Law and the duties of the county attorney. This, along with our discussion during Ryan's Education and Government Committee meeting, I think we all come to the conclusion that we wanted to get this done and over with, and therefore the reason to get it on the agenda tonight and ask Matt to write that. So is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstained, carries. 153 is a resolution supporting the 2014 local tourism grant recipients. Beniak and Whites were the sponsors of 153. Discussion on 153. Hearing none, although,
Sorry, Sunday in the Park, or, there's certain ones that happen every year, but all of the ones I believe that were applied for did receive.
And groups applied for multiple grants. Each group that applied prior to the deadline did receive funding.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There was a couple that came in late.
That's Why you gotta be on time? Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of 153?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. 154, resolution to request proposals for an independent auditor, Office of the Legislature. Kelly Whites were the sponsors. Discussion on 154. Independent auditor being, as part of our duties as the legislature, we are to have an independent audit.
Okay.
And this is not an auditor within the, this is not auditor meaning,
You got it. Thank you.
all right? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain?
Chairman, just wanted to say, in anticipation of your support of that resolution, I did have a meeting today with Sean. We're also looking at RFPs for insurances related to health and being a broker for health and workers' comp. So I do have one ready and willing to help out and do that for you, moving forward. So we're ready to go there.
Good. Okay. Resolution, add-on resolution 155. Resolution authorizing county executive to sign section 4410, 3-5 preschool, 3 to 5 preschool program service provider contracts. Public Health needs a sponsor and a second. Martin, Barbara, discussion? I think we've discussed it earlier. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstained, that carries. Resolution 156, resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement with the Direct Energy Business Marketing LLC, sponsor and second. Ryan, second. Barbara, discussion? Martin?
Is this a public organization? Do they have minutes and
Consortium.
stuff?
Consortium that was created, I believe, in '07 by the Board of Supervisors. They have a board of directors or...
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they have, it's a consortium that includes a number of entities. We are one of those entities. The discussion of whether we move forward as part of this or not, that's what we're having, but they negotiate, by entering into that intermunicipal agreement, they have the authority to negotiate on our behalf and pool the resources with other communities. Yeah, it's, that's the general scoop of that. They went out to bid, they chose the lowest bidder, everything was in line with, procurement policy. Moving forward, I think, we assessed that this is the way we want to go, but we had an energy auction coming up, and the bids were done, and that was part of it.
Terry?
Matt, it came to my attention that we actually back in 2007, the Board of Supervisors appointed someone to the board for a year, and then after that, nothing was done. Do we need to appoint somebody to the board?
At this point, I would say no,
Okay.
because I think there's a real chance we might go in a different direction.
Okay.
But that'll be a discussion we'll have. Really, at this point, it was, we were notified that, an energy auction was upcoming. Rather than rush to try to change anything prior to that energy auction, they went out for 3, 6, 12, and 2-year periods as far as trying to get the best rate. It was deemed the best rate for 12 months, so we don't have anything else coming up other than natural gas, but that's a little ways down the line. So I thought we would, get our energy locked in for a period of 12 months, excuse me, and then during that time frame, we can have a discussion about this and see how we want to proceed, if we want to stay in or we want to go. I almost believe that, we might want to have an energy broker that's solely looking out for Montgomery County. But again, that's a discussion we'll have, and we'll see how we can move forward. But I fully, they negotiated good faith, took the lowest bid. This is, to me, it's more of a procedural thing than anything.
Okay.
So you're comfortable with not having any representation at that level?
No, I'm not saying I'm comfortable with the fact that the Board of Supervisors never appointed anyone. That's not.
Terry asked if we should appoint someone.
But why would we go and appoint someone if we were going to be if the option is that, I think first we assess what we want to do moving forward. If obviously we decide to stay in, then we appoint someone, and speaking with the broker, that is an option. However, if we decide to go a different route, I don't think it would be wise to appoint someone and then say, okay, I'm sorry, we're going to be going a different route. So I think we just figure out what exactly we want to do first, then either appoint or look for a new broker.
Matt, is there only, what's the window of opportunity to appoint? Do you know that? Is it just once a year? Is it right now? Is it every January when they have a, or?
That I'm not sure.
So maybe you could find that out for us.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
think that we need
it's
to.
certainly on the list of things that we need to do as far as, figuring it out. But, and frankly, for me, it was, we found out about this, that there was going to be an energy auction somewhat recently. We've been so, overwhelmed with everything that's been going on with the new government, and, so it was, okay, well, let's move forward with this energy auction. They've done really well by us. I don't think anyone could argue that they haven't secured us some good rates as far as energy and natural gas. I think the question will be the service, additional services that a broker could provide, as well as having someone that's focused solely on you rather than a group. Now, there's ups and downs to both sides, but I think that's a discussion we need to have.
All right. On this resolution, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstained, that carries. That is it for our resolutions. Other.
Chair, we received a correspondence from Bolton Montgomery Community College about an amendment to the 2013-2014 budget. I thought the president here to see about taking action on that, if there's a timeline or anything to add.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, we haven't actually received the bill from you folks yet, so Sean, I don't know when that will be forthcoming for, but certainly I think if you take action at your next meeting, that will be fine.
Great, thank you.
I didn't see the correspondence. You're talking about the health
Yeah,
trust. Okay.
I need to increase the expense budget so that I can reimburse you for the health trust.
And you and I had a discussion, and you would rather just do it that way?
Just give you a run rate check.
Okay.
Consider, being that the health trust was brought up, I had really insisted at the last meeting that we distribute those funds that were available to the city and the county. That hasn't been done. It's over 60 days. Do you know what the status is of it?
You will know that tomorrow at 2 when we meet.
We have a meeting tomorrow?
At 2 o'clock, and you're on the board with
I
me.
didn't know. That's great.
Actually, just to give you a little update, I think we're okay saying this because it was public anyway. As everybody knows, you've been trying to wrap up the affairs of the health trust for a long time now. And there's 3 board members here at the trust, Sean, myself, Joe, and wrapping up the affairs of the trust, paying out all the claims that are due. We were in litigation. That litigation has been settled. The final T's and I's are on that. It's just a matter of executing the documents, and I believe as of today, I think as of the other day, they were executed. We just didn't have them in our possession by all parties. But I don't, number-wise, when this thing is all done, and Sean knows better than I do, but I think the county, between the county and the city, what they can expect to see back into their coffers is roughly a little over 2 million, 1 point something to us, and 7 maybe, or I don't know. But it should be relatively soon. And part of the plan tomorrow is, one of the things that we need to do to make that happen is wind up all the affairs of the trust. One of the things being, there were a couple outstanding bills that, one being from FMCC that we had paid for them, so they want to square up with us. But the other thing is just to make sure that, all the affairs are done and over and it's clean. And in the plan, trust plan right now, it says that when the trust, if ever does dissolve, It's supposed to hold the monies in its coffers for 3 years. Well, with a 4/5 vote, which I'm anticipating tomorrow, probably 5-5, we will vote to change the trust plan to be able to allow those monies to be dispersed immediately. We were hoping that could be done by June 30th. We're pretty close. If the trust passes that resolution tomorrow, I think that can happen relatively soon. Am I on base here, Sean, with everything I'm saying as far as the money end of it? So, you know, we're hoping to actually have the trust out of business by 12/31 with all the other tidbits to take care of. But we're hoping that the city of Amsterdam and the county would have their money relatively short. With that said, there were a few outstanding bills. I believe one was to one township that, you know, they owed us some money and we owed them money back. And I think it ends up we owe them $20,000. The college had an outstanding bill to us of, I think it was $116, that I actually talked to Dusty about and was going to approach the legislature about figuring out how we could work with the college, not to hurt the college. That offer was put out to Dusty. Dusty's come back and said, you know what, the best way for us is probably just to pay our bill and that is the cleanest thing for everybody, which, so that's where we're at with that. I mean, we're pretty much, I think it's wrapped up. I'm hoping, Joe, that money goes out by the 30th, but we'll be close.
I mentioned another attorney that was there wants to be out by the 30th.
I don't know, because I'm not gonna. Yeah. So, and I have one thing too, but go ahead, you first.
We talked at last month's committee meeting about meeting next Tuesday to work on our budget proposal. We're still all in agreement of meeting next Tuesday to go over the
Our department proposal. Just our department.
Would you rather I work with Jackie and Sean and we could compile what we've used in the past for historical?
And then come to us.
And then present it at the Budget and Finance Committee.
At night, July 1st, 6 o'clock? Is that what we said?
That's what we said last week.
Come on, brother.
I am asking, do we want to meet next week?
You could, just a suggestion, I think I hear what you're saying.
I'm saying.
We're only talking about 20 lines here, or whatever it is.
Oh.
So for them to put together historical information for us and give it to us on budget committee night might be a little more.
Yeah, I don't want people to run down here for.
Well, and just also, sort of, just to make everyone aware, as you know, there's been a lot of support for this casino project. There's actually going to be, I believe, that night a march in support of, and happening from Techler to the Mohawks game. I didn't know if some of you wanted to attend that, but there's going to be probably a lot of people there. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Not saying I want to thwart your plans, but
I can't come to the meeting.
So I'm just asking if that's okay, that we don't meet next week.
Yeah, you didn't, did you put out anything?
We can do this
Okay.
by email, couldn't we?
Yeah. I mean, the two of
We
you,
have to work on it.
no, but you could send it to us preliminary, you could send us, and then we could have our, you know, okay, is that it?
And then the media can foil those emails. Just remember.
Well, they can foil
Yeah,
them, we don't.
exactly. We're just kidding.
Roy,
Chair, I just have one thing for all legislators that get out to their constituents. One of our biggest tourist attractions is doing a fundraiser, Lordsville Shrine. They're replacing all 3 of the roofs and the windows. And obviously, as a body, we can't do anything, but I was hoping to get the word out that you know, they do bring a lot of people in the area. If you know anyone that could help them, they could sure use their help. They're trying to raise $1 million. They have a 3-tiered roof, and it's in need of repair, and you probably read about it in the paper, so I just wanted to bring that up.
July 22nd meeting, I definitely will not be here, I will be out of town. Barbara, you said you would be able to fill in.
Yes, I will.
If it comes to a point where others are unavailable for whatever reason that night and it needs to be rescheduled, I'm not asking you to do it because I'm not going to be here, but if other people have an issue, let me know, but otherwise, I will be missing in action, and Barbara will chair the meeting that night. That's all I have. Motion,
She has something.
The week before, I won't be here either. I'll be at a school.
all right, July's
Sorry,
off.
definitely. I think we should cancel July.
Take July off, so on holiday.
No, but the whole week?
Yeah, Deb Chan will be doing the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got two good replacements.
So,
All right, motion to adjourn from Mr. Martin. This is Barbara.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.